We arrived in hell, and when we arrived in hell, then, we saw a cell. People were burning inside, and people were screaming. They were crying desperately. I learned that we were in the Valley of Shepherds. Today I'm only going to talk about one pastor in particular and a famous one, but in the next live stream I'll continue with other cases. I'm full here, because they are 2 notebooks that are full of revelation, and it's still happening every day, morning, afternoon and night. That's why I've been so absent. In hell I saw with the eyes of the angel a special cell. There was a soul who came to a table and sat down for an interview in the tribunal, so I wrote everything that was discussed in the tribunal of hell. Then the demons got agitated and started to try to do harm. They tried to do harm, and what happens? The angel who has more than 257 billion eyes blew a breath against them and demons fell to the ground. Filled with terror, demons started to obey and began to comply with what we were doing there. And I saw a figure in front of the table that brought a special chair from heaven. We sat in because we weren't allowed to sit in a chair from hell. As we sat on the chair from heaven, this soul who was a preacher sat on the chair of hell for interview with me, and next to us, there was a commotion of people burning, of people screaming, of people grumbling, of people calling out. Then, the interview with the greatest preacher of the 20th century began. Does anyone know the name of this greatest preacher of the 20th century? Who's going to guess this? It was the American preacher Billy Graham. Billy Graham's cell was a VIP room, a VIP cell, where his torture was horrible. He got out and was placed there in the court of hell. When he sat on the chair of hell, my conversation with him began, so I was like a clerk writing down everything Billy Graham said. I asked Billy Graham, why are you here in hell burning? What is your greatest sin? Despite so many sins that Billy Graham committed, such as alliances with Freemasonry, connections with governments that were linked to wrong things, but the greatest sin of Bill Graham, nobody knows it, but it was revealed here. For Bill Graham answered me, my main sin is that I had a fetish for sexuality with animals. Billy Graham had animal fetish. I don't know what kind of sin that is. Yes, I think it's zoophilia, my brothers. And at the last hour of his life, even in his hospital bed, he was in prayer but he still saw himself imagining having sex with animals. The Billy Graham died with images of sexuality with animal and was placed in a VIP cell, and in that VIP room he was tortured by all kinds of animals. Animals ate his flesh. He was eaten by animals all over his body. If you have a problem with a polluted mind, if you have a problem with masturbation, imagining immoral things, you're in trouble. You're on your way to hell. People, repent now. If you have a problem with imagining sexuality, imagining a particular woman who aren't your wife, you're in danger. Church, you're running the risk of hell. You can pray, you can repent, but if you don't renounce those thoughts from your head, you're going to hell. Be careful with your mind, people. Billy Graham was eaten by all kinds of animals, a preacher, a man so holy that he preached to nations, but his biggest problem, besides other minor sins, was sexuality with animals. Then Billy Graham was taken to his room. He was tortured, his flesh was being ripped off all over his body. He screamed while we watched from the outside because we weren't allowed to go inside his ward. We looked through an area. I don't know if this sin exists here in Brazil or not. I don't know if it exists in Angola. I don't know if it's real that people have sex with animals. If you have a sexual fetish for chickens, for cats, if you have a deep intimacy with dogs, hell is waiting for you. Dear church, repent. So his greatest fetish was a sexual fetish for animals, and Billy Graham said to me, good for you that you still have salvation, because I no longer have salvation. Then I went to another ward. There were many people screaming, many people crying, many people pleading. A woman came out. This woman's name was Mendonça. I never met Maria Mendonça. She arrived in the tribunal of hell all strangled and she said, good for you that there is still salvation available for you. Please, don't leave me there, stay here with me so I don't get tortured for a few minutes. Then Maria Mendonça's trial began and I was taking notes. Then I asked her, Maria, how did you die? Maria Mendonça is a Brazilian singer. As far as I know, I don't have much knowledge about her. I know more about Nita than about her. I saw her briefly, but the information she passed on is that she had a plane crash, and I asked God, why is Maria Mendonça here if she's saying she was a believer? Was she your daughter? She said she served you. The Lord said she was corrupted by money, corrupted by fame and corrupted by evil alliances. Then I asked, God, what's really going on with Maria? God said, I sent my servant, the pilot, to talk to her about salvation, and she said no, I still want to enjoy myself, I still want to keep my money, because Maria Mendonça's money was dirty. Then God said, I sent 7 people to Maria. God was speaking sadly, and these 7 people talked to Maria about salvation, about repenting, but Maria didn't choose me even in the last minute. I even went to her dream and I told her, Maria, come back to me, you have no chance, the flight you are going to fly will crash. I spoke to her in the dream, warning the flight you are going to take will crash. You need to reconcile with me, because you are my servant, you have a promise with me. But Maria said, oh God, you will take care of our plane and everything will be alright. I rebuke this dream, but Maria Mendonça didn't know that it was the last opportunity I was giving her, son, it was the last opportunity I was giving Maria. Then Maria was taken away by a demon that came to grab his head and took it, and she screamed, don't go, don't leave, stay with me here, I don't want to suffer anymore. She was tortured there, it's over, there's no more chance for her. She suffered all kinds of pain. Then I went to another ward. I saw Ludmila Ferber in great torment. She screamed, she cried, and she was punished with her vanity. Then her trial began. I asked the singer Ludmila, you sang such beautiful songs, you sang such holy praises, you were so well known, what happened to you? Why are you here? Why didn't you repent? You had the chance to be sick for months, almost a year. It was a good opportunity to repent, and yet you are in hell. Ludmila said, I was raptured, and God spoke to me about repenting, about changing my outfit, but when I returned to earth, I didn't understand the truth of sound doctrine of holiness of the body, and I didn't take it seriously. I just wanted to be healed to remain rich, famous, that's why I'm here. At that moment God said, son, I spoke to Ludmila on the last days of her death. I spoke to Ludmila's heart, reconcile with me, daughter, reconcile with me, but she said in her heart, I am rich, I'm powerful, I will get out of this situation, God will help me and everything will be very well, things will be fine. A week later, hell took her soul and today she is burning in hell. Then I went up to heaven and went to the celestial court, and when I arrived at the celestial court, I asked, Lord, I want to speak with Pastor Cesino Bernardino. He is here in heaven. The founding leader of the Gideons of the last hour. The Lord said, for a minute, he almost lost me. He was about to lose his soul, but at the end of his life, he repented of many things, and God said, I will call him to court and for you to do a court interview with him. So Pastor Cesino Bernardino, who is the founder of Gideons, the biggest missionary convention in the world, arrived in the celestial court. I told him, Pastor, it's good that you're saved for eternity. He said yes, thank God I'm saved, and I asked him, what do you regret most on earth? Cesino said, I regret not telling the truth for a long time, I regret it, and I didn't even tell the whole truth, but before my death, God spoke to me, telling me go to the altar, confess all the sins of the pastors and your own sin, and tell the pastors all what they are doing and that God is upset with the Gideons of the last days. I preached and warned the assembly of God, to turn back to God. When I heard the pastor talking about the assembly of God, I looked at God and said, Lord, assembly of God. God said, son, the assembly of God is 99% Masonic, 1% my presence. Even so, my presence, that is 1% is also already losing and soon it will be 100% my absence, because the assembly of God is following Freemasonry, seeking riches on earth, seeking earthly glory and other things. Pastor Cesino Bernardino said that he regretted not telling the whole truth, but by the grace of God he spoke the truth in the end of his life, and God had granted him mercy, and Cesino Bernardino saved his soul by repenting. I asked him, what advice do you give to the assemblies of God in the world? You are one of the greatest leaders of the assemblies of God on earth who died. He said, they must leave vanity, because they did not preach against the vanity of the body. Women who are dressing sensually must repent. He said, the assemblies of God church is vain. Two things killed the assemblies of God. The first thing is the vanity that entered the church. The second thing is the love of money that entered the church. Serious sins, vanity. The people are vain. Women are in vanity. Women are using a lot of lipstick. Women are wearing seductive clothes. Women are wearing tight clothes. God said, warn the Pentecostal assemblies of God. If anyone is sharing this live stream with all the pastors of the assemblies of God, share it with all the pastors of the assemblies of God. Tell them that God is saying that only 1% of his presence is left there, and the 1% is about to leave and it's already being absorbed, it's being lost. But Assembly of God, I really want to raise you up again, but if you don't rise up, I'm going to take 90% of your sheep and send them to the ministry that I'm raising up in these last days, beloved church. So I saw other preachers that I won't mention everything now, I'll finish here. Even if I saw preachers, singers who are alive on earth, like a certain Miguel Oliveira, they are all reflecting in hell, they are all reflecting, Maria Mendonça, they are all, I saw so many, but I won't continue because I've already talked too much and I'm at the hotel. If this live stream goes well, if this live stream goes very far, then I'll come tomorrow, but if it doesn't go far, I'll only come when it does, then I'll bring the deepest revelations, because there are more bombastic things that you don't have no idea. 2 notebooks already full, almost full, this one is full, this one is almost full of experiences with God. May God bless you, may God take care of you,